Shall we begin?
Let's begin now.
Hello, Vision Group. Today I want to get in detail with a little bit of those things that I wrote about yesterday, and I'm trying to see, like I said, when I'm in public, I try to do a general thing where I'm not really too specific, but I want to give you a little bit more detail and kind of help you be a little bit more directive toward what's going on. And I told you about the four of them. There's familiarity, I only want to say consistency, complacency, the desire to be fair or fairness, and fear. We're going to deal with familiarity right now. It's going to take about maybe 5 or 10 minutes to really deal with it and help you to understand how to work with the situation. Okay, so what I have written here, because I wrote these things down. These are things a part of the teaching. So one of the first things you must understand on dealing with this is moving forward. When it comes to moving forward, is familiarity. It is the thing that keeps many people from going to college. It kept some of you from trying something new. People are being even stopped from wealth because of familiarity. Because familiarity breeds contempt. If you're going to see movement in your life, experience and eventual success, you're going to have to get away from the places that are with familiarity. Now, the couple things I need you to understand about familiarity. With familiarity comes expectation. Most of us, whether it's negative or positive, are in a point of familiarity. So we go to the places that we're accustomed to. We go to the places that we're used to. We only shop at Macy's. We only go to Walmart for, certain things because of familiarity. And within those familiar places, we have expectations. The problem with familiarity and expectations is the fact that when you are going to a place of familiarity, you expect a certain thing, which does not push you to a point of expecting something different. So imagine you go to your local Walmart, and when you go to your local Walmart, it no longer sells milk. You're surprised that it doesn't sell milk, so you don't see the value of the change because of familiarity. So when you look at it, you go, oh my God, they don't have milk. You're complaining, you're mad. Why? Because your familiarity breeds contempt. So now you hold them accountable for something that, listen, you may not need, but because it's supposed to be there, you expect it. You follow me? So expectation is according to familiarity. Now, what the problem happens when it comes to you trying to be successful, to do something successful, there are areas, and so what I wanted to say last night, there are areas where you should be familiar. You should be familiar with success. You should be familiar with different locations and like you should be familiar, but you should not be so familiar that it causes contempt. You should have a knowledge of it. This thing is trying to hurt me. You should have a knowledge of it, but you should not be so set in your ways. The familiarity that holds you and bounds you into your ways. So one of the things that you need to do is begin to go to different places. Now, what does this do? Familiarity narrows your thought process and brings contempt, because these are the comfortable places to do. I do the videos out front and in different places so that I now broaden my horizons. If you want to be successful, it broadens your horizon. Now what happens? What happens is when you begin to broaden your horizons, your expectation level changes, it expands. So if you go into a new store, do you know that mentally your body becomes more aware? Your mind becomes more aware. Why? Because it's someplace that has never been before. So when you go to places that you've never been before, your awareness increases, it heightens. Now, if you keep going to places where you've never been before, you're always aware and it's always heightened. Now, what is that? Why is that important to someone that wants to be successful? It's important because when your awareness is heightened, you begin to see other ways to benefit your process. You understand? You see other ways to benefit your process because you're aware. You notice that when you go outside that the person never cuts the grass, and you go, wow, I could get my son to come out and cut the grass. They charge him $25 a month, $25 a week, and he can cut the grass. So you become, there's a heightened awareness when you're in a place that you're not in a complacency, a place where you're familiar. So what happens with familiarity, it makes you not think. And it's okay. Now, when you are building your business and there are things that are going on, you want them to be in a situation where you don't have to think about them. But that's different because that should be written down in a way that somebody else could come in and do the job without you being there. And then you go to something else. So what you have to understand with familiarity, that's what takes place. And did I say 5 minutes? I mean about 10 to 15 minutes, guys. I apologize. So what happens with that, with most people when it comes to success, and I'm bad about this. I really got to get. That's one of the things about me having an assistant. I'm bad about this. I have a certain way I want things to be done. Now the problem that happens with that is sometimes the way that I want things to be done, hear me, is not effective for the process that I desire. You follow me? For example, there is, and I'm working on that right now, there is a way that I can actually have the notes on the video while I'm talking to you guys, where it would actually pop up or do a PNP, a picture-in-picture, and I can do this teaching by actually doing that. But right now, I haven't taken the time to really study that, and I haven't even given anybody the opportunity to say, listen, you do that, and so when I'm taping, you can actually video it and then do the PNP, or do the video cut. Now, for me to grow and do other things, that has to be necessary. So what happens in your familiarity, you got to realize there are things that need to be done, and you may not be the best at them. You are good enough that you like it, but you may not be the best at them. I used to do flyers all the time. I used to be the person that did the graphics all the time, because back in the 80s and 90s, I knew how to do graphics. But now there's people that know how to do PowerPoint. There are people that know how to do Photoshop and Illustrator and all these other things, and I don't know anything about that stuff. So I have to allow somebody to come in and take that portion of my business or my vision to another level. So I can't be familiar with that person all the time. So it can't be my cousin that say, you know what, I went to school for 4 years and I know how to draw. It has to be somebody that takes the vision, takes and understands that aspect of the vision and take it to some other place. I can't scrutinize them. I have to pay attention to them, because within the expanding of that area, it needs to expand in the direction of the vision. Is everybody following that? So, for example, let's say you want your daughter to help you or your son to help you because they're familiar. You can't allow them to move there just because they're your daughter or your son. They have to be good at what they do. They have to know how to do what you're asking them to do. Or what happens is you find yourself losing because now you have to do two things at the exact same time. And you have to do those things at a level where you wouldn't have to do them if that person was somebody that you maybe hired. Now let me throw this out there. Depending on your vision, depending on your process, in some cases, you're going to have to put out some type of compensation. Whether you tell them that you're going to cook them dinner, and I'm very big about this. I'm very, very big about this. You have to put out some kind of compensation. Why? Because people that do things for you and do them for free, do them at their level of press. People that you pay, you have more of an expectation from them because you've given them something to do. 9 times out of 10, pay them up front. Listen, I know you can't pay them $1,000, you can't pay them $1 million yet, but when you can, you do. But what you can do is what you can do. You can offer, hey, people that say I volunteer, I'll just do it for you. Give them $50, give them $100, give them whatever you can give them to let them know that you're serious about the movement and you're serious about what you're doing. So familiarity becomes, now, here's the key to doing it. Familiarity becomes contempt when you don't want to think about what it takes to move forward. Now, I know that sounds a little harsh, but that's basically it. I don't want to really put thought in the process, but you got to realize you got to talk to that person. You got to get that person to understand not the whole vision, but they're part of the vision. They have to get that. They understand that this portion of the vision is important. Not only is it important, it is necessary that they do a good job. Why? Because within that same familiarity, you can't get so familiar that you cannot stop them from doing it and say, listen, I can't deal with you anymore. I need this to be done a certain way. Now, that does not mean that you are nitpicking every little thing. Pay attention to what you see, pay attention to what you're doing so that it'll pour into what you want to what you want done. You follow me? So if you ask the person to draw an apple, he draws a beautiful apple, but you like red apples, he likes blue apples. You can't get mad because of the differentiation in apple color. You have to realize, is this apple something that the public is going to like, or is it something that I just like? Many times, back to familiarity, many times we try to give to people what we like. pertaining to a specific situation or a specific advertising, a specific marketing. And that is dangerous because it will only limit the people that see it to people that are like you. You follow me? And so what happens is a lot of people do that. And it happens all the time. It happens all the time. So what you find is when people do that, what they do is they limit their ability to see the greater good. And they limit their ability to see what can actually happen with this thing, because they go, well, you know what? I don't even like squid. It's kind of like right now, today, and I want you to understand, follow me here. Right now, somebody came to you and said, listen, I own a seafood company. We sell squid. Now, do you know there are a number of you right now would look at me, man, I don't even have no company. I don't even like squid. Because you're not thinking of being a CEO. You're thinking of being owner because you think you have to touch it. See, one of the things you have to realize what comes with familiarity and the lack of familiarity is understanding you're not an owner. You don't want to touch everything. You want to put together a system, and hear me, listen to me very closely. You want to put together a system that works without you being there so you can go start another system. Think of Russell Brunson. Think of Elon, I can't think of the brother name that does Tesla. They all are looking for ways. The way that you get in what you're getting in, this is kind of free. What you're getting in is making enough money off your system to be able to do what you want to do. So sometimes it's not familiar. Sometimes it's not that. So what you have to realize, that person comes to you and go, hey man, I got a company that sells squid. We sell squid across the country. And they go in and say, we want to sell the company to you. How much you want to give it to you for $15,000. Now, you don't think about the money. You don't think about the squid. You don't think about, you're not familiar with squid, you don't know anything about squid. What you think about is, how can I put things in place? Because what happens is you can hire management. You can hire somebody that knows something about squid. You can do all these different things about squid. And then they say, well, we want you to come in and taste squid. Now, when you come in and taste squid, what do? You add your angle, hear me, you add your angle to squid. So you go, wait a minute, I don't even like squid. So they will taste it. It's the taste. You know what this squid would taste better with? This, and this. Now, you don't change the squid, but you add an extra aspect to the squid. Now you can sell squid, fried squid, southern fried squid, corn-fed squid, whatever the situation is. Why? Because what you have to understand, familiarity is not what moves you forward. Familiarity is what you go establish as you go to someplace else. Paul said, "In whatsoever state I find myself in, there I am content." I'm not familiar with this place, but I'm content. I'm cool with this place, and I understand that this place is that. Other thing is, this is one of the things that you go to the same people, deal with the same folks. Why? Because you're establishing some type of family, and that's fine. But what you have to realize is the passage does not say, go ye to the church and share the gospel. It said, go ye into all the world, go all ye into all the earth. So that same vision is the vision that you have to use when you want to be successful. Listen, get on a plane, go somewhere. If you are trying to write a book, go places and talk to other writers. Take a writer to lunch. If you're trying to start an office, go places and meet other doctors and other people get out of your familiar place and begin to build something around what you want to do. Why? Because see, in religious organizations, we want you to be accustomed. We want you to be familiar. We want you to stay in that place. Why? Because when it's time to move, it becomes difficult to move from a familiar place to go to a place that you know nothing of. That's one of the attacks of your brain. Your brain is going, do something familiar, go outside. Go outside. I told you yesterday, I dealt with the real big anxiety and fear as I grew up. Now, most people don't know that because I spoke in front of hundreds and thousands of people. And they go, wait a minute, if you spoke about anxiety was not my public persona. It was the things I had to do privately. So some of the visions that I could have, that could have been wealthy with, would never take place because I was afraid to make the statement or call or make the move so that somebody could get there. That's the same thing. Listen, don't talk to familiar people. Call somebody. Go to places, go to the conference, go to their thing and show them, I want to know what you're doing about it. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you get to the next level. Yeah, it's not familiar. Getting up and looking at these videos and watching this stuff, it's not familiar. But if you learn how to do it and you learn to master what I'm telling you, you will master success. That's a promise. If you learn to master not being in a familiar place, not trying to stay in a familiar place, not trying to stay in a comfortable place, start moving around to different places, you will learn how to master these things. Now, that's my teaching on familiarity. it's contentment. It's not staying in the place, making yourself uneasy. And when you make yourself uneasy, you realize that you can do something greater. So that's familiarity. I need you to watch this video, watch it, pay attention to it, and I'm going to deal with the next video probably tomorrow, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, it was great talking to you. Peace.